The Aviation Matters bring you all the latest information and events across the country under the Honorable Minister of Aviation on executives, policies, projects, and everything that's related to the aviation transportation industry. Stay tuned.
The Nigerian government has announced the lift of the ban imposed on Emirates airline flights after negotiations were concluded with the UAE. It will be recalled that the restrictions were imposed by the federal government in March 2021 after the airline demanded extra COVID-19 testing requirements for Nigerian passengers. Briefing journalists in Abuja, the federal capital of Nigeria, the Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika, said the ban on Emirates was lifted as a result of communications received from the UAE removing travel conditions the Nigerian government had opposed.
We received communications from UAE removing some of the conditions for travel to which we had concerns about. And having done so, and being the only impediment to their operations, I think it is also necessary for us to lift the ban on operations of Emirates into the country, beginning from today. We are happy to announce that this is a product of lengthy negotiations between us and them, or more appropriately, between the PSC and the government of Nigeria and them as well. We are aware of the constitution of the PSC and the officers that are running that PSC.
The United Arab Emirates, in its latest coronavirus protocol released recently, dropped the Rapid Antigen Test (RTD) for COVID-19 as a prerequisite for traveling to the Middle East country for Nigerians and some other countries. Emirates stopped flights to Nigeria in February this year when its operation was put on hold by the federal government following its demand for Nigerian travelers to take the RTD 4 hours before their flight, as stipulated in the COVID-19 protocols of the UAE. When Emirates began its demand for the test, Minister of Aviation Senator Hadi Sirika described the RTD requirement as discriminatory profiling of Nigerian travelers.
For the nature of the agreement and the lifting of the ban, nature, I would say, is unconditional. All of those things that were put in place that made us to disagree have been removed, and therefore it is with no conditions. In fact, it made things better, which the General made expatiate. Second, whether it is, and so also it is in position between UAE and Nigeria, not Emirates and Nigeria, it's UAE and Nigeria. So very quickly, I think maybe we've forgotten. I will just go through very quickly. Like Dr. Mutar said, every country puts some measures and protocols to safeguard their citizens, which Nigeria did. At some point, some airlines like Lufthansa, Air France-KLM, and Emirates, they did settle well with them. So in order to safeguard our citizens from the certain violations that may lead to escalating the COVID situation in Nigeria, we decided as PSC to suspend the operations of those airlines. However, shortly after, that KLM, Air France, and Lufthansa reverted to the protocols that we put in place. And Emirates have some concerns with those. So we kept that of Emirates. And so they continued for some time. And we went on to negotiations. And so, at the end of the day, also after these long negotiations, Emirates went back to what was acceptable to both or all other airlines, or what we put in place as a country through PSC.
The minister assured that the relationship between Nigeria and the UAE remains strong.
We can fly to UAE and they can also fly in here. Maybe to freshen up some of the memories is that there was a condition, for example, that had to do with the testing of passengers 48 hours before, also testing at the airport, and also testing on arrival, also testing thereafter. Just like we have our own protocols, so you test 48 hours, you come in, and then you repeat test after 7 days, like in the case of Nigeria. So those we had some disagreement, and also there was a condition that for a Nigerian traveler, he will have to spend 2 weeks in a transit country if he's not going via Emirates. So those are some of the gray areas that we had and we were negotiating over them. So now Nigeria no longer can fly direct and he doesn't have to spend 2 weeks in any other country. Also, they back to 72 hours test before flight, which was the original thing that we started with. So whether it is us agreeing with them as to our protocols, which they accepted. And of course, we announced a little ban because in the first place it was us who said no, stop operations until we're able to resolve. And I have to emphasize here that UAE and Nigeria's relationship has been, that is its tough, its area, has been very, very cordial and gets better by the day. This, like he said, the red list, the black list, the green list, whatever list it is all over the world, is being put on nations for nations. So the reasons why this has happened is well documented during the PTF press briefings we were having. So at some time, every week, we come to brief the nation as the issues that were being negotiated.
Nigerian Minister of Foreign Affairs Godfrey Oyema noted that the Nigerian government recognized that the UAE has a responsibility to protect the lives of our citizens and whatever measures that they had taken were in the interest of our citizens.
In many ways, we have seen countries that, loggerheads over various issues. And that's always the nature of things when certain decisions are taken, about countries that are on the red list or green list or different lists. We're seeing that play out all the time. And in this situation too, every country also is trying to protect its citizens, in the face of this pandemic. So this was no exception. We have a situation where the United Arab Emirates, also protecting its citizens, put in place certain protocols. And you will recall that we had also similar situations with other countries, actually, in the past. So we had to negotiate through those protocols to get to a position that we felt we had a balance of interests. And we're really happy that we're now able to announce that the suspension on the Emirates airline is we're now able to lift that, and because we have now come to an agreement on the whole approach to the whole protocol on COVID-19. So this is, we're very, very happy about that. And the UAE is a country that we have excellent relations with. And we'd like to extend also our appreciation to the officials of the UAE with whom we've been discussing and negotiating for their professionalism, for their understanding, and their strong friendship.
In another development, Nigeria's proposed national carrier, Nigerian Air, is set to begin flight operations by April 2022. Sirika said the national carrier will be run by a private company in which the government will hold a 5% stake, Nigerian entrepreneurs holding 46%, while the remaining 49% will be reserved for yet to be assigned strategic equity partners, including foreign investors. The venture is expected to generate 70,000 jobs.
Working document has reviewed and the owners of this airline how they understand their business and how they want to run their business. You should understand that in the outline business case and in the certificate from ICRC and in what fact passed is a very, very important clue. The government will have no control whatsoever in the managing of the airline and will have no step-in rights. Regardless of them having 5%, they will have no step-in right, they will have no role in the management of the airline at all. And this will come to the answer on Nigeria Airways of the past. When I come to answer it, I will explain. So there is no step-in rights and there is no control whatsoever management of the airline by the government. They will only own 5% to have a government scheme in that project to boost investor confidence and to be sure that this is here to stay, and also to have that sovereign color and sovereign support and sovereign shoulder to lean upon, and also to fulfill the requirements of international operations. The airline is structured in such a way that they will start with a wet lease aircraft, and that's how most airlines, 90% of airlines in the world would have started if they are very clever. And that is what is spelled in our business plan. So they will start with a wet lease of 3 aircraft and then continue to expand and then place orders and what have you.
Senator Sirika stressed that the Federal Executive Council had given approval for the new national carrier, which he said over 400,000 Nigerians participated in choosing the name, which was launched in 2018.
Since 2015, when President Buhari took over power, aviation has grown. We've grown the passenger number from 8 million to 18 million in 4 years. Well, the meaning of this, since 1925, when aircraft first landed in Kano, Nigeria's soil, up until 2015, we were doing just 8 million passengers per annum total. But from Buhari's time in 2015 to just before COVID, we were doing 18 million passengers. And this is 4 times the number of passengers that Ghana is doing per annum, for example. And aviation became the fastest growing sector of the Nigerian economy before COVID, which means up until 2020. Nigeria is the fastest, or aviation is the fastest growing sector of the Nigerian economy. This is the figures from MBS, the figures from Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. Surprisingly yesterday, during the PEC, the paper was taken GDP of Nigeria performance. And aviation, even with COVID, is the 3rd fastest growing sector of the economy of Nigeria, even with COVID. Even with the shutdown of and the reduction of flights, we were growing by 33.5%. We're the 3rd fastest growing sector of Nigerian economy. So this underscores what the Buhari administration is doing in aviation, the policies that we are putting in place, and the way we are going about. So we are getting aviation right in Nigeria this time around. And it's expanding, it's growing. And then just to also say that this airline, it is indeed, yes, an airline is also a competition. But it's not here to kill any other airline. It is here to compete with every airline in the country.
And one part, as the Minister already explained, is Nigeria Air. Nigeria Air will be a so-called flag carrier, meaning the government will be a part owner, a very small part, 5%. And that is important because we want to fly international. And international flying
outside Africa needs for each country a certain ownership structure so that other countries, 49% will be most likely held or will be held by an international partner. Again, searched for by an RFP in the international domain. So again, the 46% of Nigerian ownership is so important that this airline is a part of Nigeria. It is an airline that is owned by Nigeria. And that process is the legal process to get ownership organized with the owners from a board and get the executive team, the final executive team hired, the CEO, COO, and all the other jobs. And of course, get it structured.
Sarika had shortly after coming into office in 2015 launched an aviation development roadmap that included a new national carrier and other interventions in the country's aviation sector as priorities. The project, a public-private partnership, is to replace the default Nigerian Airways which ceased operations in 2003. The Honorable Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sarika, had also presented a proposed budget of over 60 billion naira for capital projects for the ministry in the year 2022 to the National Assembly. The minister said efforts will be geared towards sustaining the infrastructural renewal at our airports nationwide by continuing with remodeling projects and upgrading the necessary air navigational and weather forecast equipment. He further added that the ministry determined to ensure that the nation's airports and all the needed equipment necessary for safety and security are provided to meet global standards as outlined by universal aviation bodies such as the International Civil Aviation Organization, the World Meteorological Organization, Airports Council International, and International Air Transport Association.
There was a party in power that sold all national assets to private banks, and they did nothing with it. In our wisdom, Mr. Chairman, we will concession them, they remain public assets, and they get done better and revert back to the public by the special grace of God. So, Mr. Chairman, our second runway at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, having rehabilitated that runway within record time and within budget, under your supervision, we have the intention to put up a second runway in Abuja. Consultants have been appointed and the design has been concluded. We are submitting it to my office this afternoon, Mr. Chairman. And also simultaneously, we commenced identification and engagement with would-be contractors, which are about 4 or 5 of them in number in the country. Meanwhile, the necessary diligence will be done on them and submitted through selective tendering to the VPP and will get approval and will proceed with the process. It's our hope and desire that this runway will be delivered during the lifetime of this administration. So, Mr. Chairman, also that to mention that efforts are geared towards sustaining the infrastructure renewal of all the airports nationwide. And of course, the most critical of them is our nav and weather equipment that are all over the country, giving them some special attention. And also attention will be given to safety and security infrastructure, bearing in mind unique importance in the global aviation industry and of course keeping with ICAO standards on safety and security. Indeed, we are determined more than ever before to work very hard with their commendable support towards accomplishment of every critical development project captured in the aviation sector roadmap. So, Mr. Chairman, the robust action plans that we have outlined above will help the ministry to revamp up our own or its own procurement activities for the air, particularly in relation to budgetary utilization as it is. We are determined to ensure that our airports and all the needed equipment necessary for safety and security are provided to meet global standards as outlined by universal aviation bodies such as ICAO, ACI, IATA, etc. Mr. Chairman, the job of civil aviation, which is universal and is not aviation B, is a Herculean task. It's a universally regulated sector that speaks on safety. And part of the best safety that you can have is a well-trained personnel. The greatest safety that anybody can have is the well-trained personnel. We're putting emphasis, Mr. Chairman, on our training. Since we came, we have multiplied by 5 the amount of money spent, for example, on NCAA training. Also, INCAD has received a tremendous amount of boost in terms of training, and all agencies are encouraged to pay particular attention to training, retraining, and capacity building.
The Senate Committee Chairman, Senator Smart Adeyemi, and House Committee Chairman, Honorable Noli Naji, who remarked separately, said they are aware that the 2021 budget is still ongoing. They will soon embark on oversight functions to see how the ministry has gone in the execution of its projects. They promise to provide all the necessary support for the transformation of the aviation sector.
Of course, we are aware of the pandemic, we are aware of the economic recession, the global economic recession, which of course affected so many countries, especially the aviation industry. Now, I have to emphasize this, and to equally say that we didn't quite go into 2021 budget because on the record we have received, the good number of the project are still going to procurement. But let me equally say to you that, and to the team, that before we go on a Christmas break, the Senate Committee will embark on the oversight functions. We're going to look at how far you have gone with this project, and we're going to make our findings open. We have spared you the pains of going through 2021 budget because from the provision of what that is available and from what I've seen on record, the good number of those major projects are still under procurement, and that is where we're going to it. Aviation is not like other business, other sector, where you can get some of your equipment or requirement within the country. All those ones will put into consideration. But notwithstanding, it might be based on information from your team that between now and the time the person set for a break, appreciable effort and achievement will have been collected. So we'll be able to go back and see all that is in place, including the college.
We're just concerned about just things that borders on the people. We're concerned, those that clearly to some extent, on the issue of concession about job loss. We're worried that if the concession is on, and we'll experience job loss, then now we are clear. I think the other issues that raised part of we talked about the national carrier, establishment of national carrier, the MROs, the agro-allied infrastructure, the leasing, the search and rescue, and the university, aerospace university. I believe that if we achieve all these, it's going to be difficult what we have it's difficult for me. Please, if you have one or two things to talk about, if you have something to say about it, we are free to ask the Home Minister which ones regarding the national carriers and all this. Please.
On the Abuja Airport second runway, Serika said consultants have been appointed for the design and supervision of the construction of the project, as well as provision of ancillary infrastructure and facilities. While the consultants have since commenced work and their reports will be ready soon, and the procurement process for the selection of the construction of the runway.